ஹாலிடேஸ்னாலே நம்ம GT ஹாலிடேஸ் தான். சவுத் இந்தியாஸ் நம்பர் 1 டிராவல் பிராண்ட். தலைசிறந்த திருமண நகைகளின் பிரத்யேக அணிவகுப்பு. ஸ்ரீகுமரன் தங்க மாளிகை. JNN இன்ஸ்டிடியூஷன் ரெடில்ஸ் சென்னை. அட்மிஷன்ஸ் ஓபன் at JNN Institute of Engineering Autonomous and JNN Arts and Science Women's College.
Did I just throw Baradwaj Rangan off? No, your fans believe.
Hi Siddharth, welcome to Galatta Plus.
Hi, Baddy. Good to be back.
I know, I'm like, it seems as if you've been under the radar for a while.
The world was under the radar, Baddy. We had COVID.
Right.
So it was 2.5 years. Now everybody's coming out of their houses slowly and saying, I'm still alive. You know, I'm still standing.
Right.
So if that happens to the whole world at large, then I think we're just lucky to be here.
Right.
And yeah, it's been a very interesting time coming back to normal life, if we can call it that. But for me in particular, because it's not just me coming back with a film, I'm coming back into my purple patch, if I can call it that. So it's a good time to be me.
You have Takkar coming up.
Yeah.
There's Chitta.
Yeah, so
there's
this
Indian
year,
2.
once we start on June 9th, is Takkar releases. Then we have our home production Chitta. Then there's an untitled romantic film that I've just completed. Then, of course, there's Indian 2. Then there's Karthik G. Krish's next film. And there is Shashikant's Test.
Yeah.
So this is my
This is
lineup for 18 months.
You're just making up for all the...
Yeah, I don't think, you and I are very aware of the fact that most of our lives has not been in our control. It's mostly things that happen to us. And you can still be outspoken, educated, erudite human beings like ourselves, but you still have to take what your circumstances and your ecosystem throws at you. So if you had told me entering my 21st year as an actor in cinemas, I'll have 6 films, I would have said you've lost your mind, Baddy. But what the truth of that is, I'm really happy about it. And it's not by design, but it's also not just by default. It's a bit of both, I'd say.
Yeah. You just 21 years, right? That includes the time as a director?
No.
As an AD?
No, so Boys released on August 29th, 2003.
Okay, right.
And you and I still look the same.
I
Let's
don't know.
put it that way. I remember seeing you. You looked exactly the same.
So, you know, like...
Did I just throw Baradwaj Rangan off? No, your
So-
fans believe, and there are large hordes of them. They believe that you take your, what's the word, interviewees to a separate place of, where they... So I
Yeah,
just
you
made
should
you
believe
lose
the
your...
hype.
I made you lose a sentence.
My
I'm going to
composure.
put this as an
As
achievement.
like I made
Baddy.
This will be your epitaph.
Got it. Yeah.
So, no, but I want to ask you, what was the Siddharth like when you came into the industry? You have a particular perception of what things are going to be like, and now you're this veteran. You're like,
Yes, it's true. It's
but
true.
it's true.
It's
man.
true.
It's
It's
a long
true.
time
No,
to
I'm not
be
denying
there,
it. Yeah.
right? It's like, so what is this Siddharth like who's sitting opposite me? What's
The
has
people
anything
who
changed?
know me well, and there are a few that you might also know quite closely, they will tell you this guy is exactly the
The
same.
same. Okay, right.
So, I mean, if you leave a blade of grass on its own, it will grow, right? So, I have obviously grown, but the person and the way I look at things, I'm still the eternal optimist. I'm still the truth speaker. I live without fear. So, I started my career with one of the greatest influences that anybody can have. And since those days, for right or wrong, I've spoken my mind. So, I'm still the same guy. Having said that, the last 20 years is a different journey, clearly. I'm not somebody who looks back much. I'm a forward-looking human being. So I'm still very curious about the next 20. And the reason I also think I'm the same person is in 2001, somebody asked me, what do you think success is? Or what do you want? And I said, I want to know in December where I'll be in July. 22 years later, I still don't know in December where I'll be in July. Because that's A, the kind of profession I work in, and B, also as a person, I have a personality. I can't do the same things twice. I don't look for other people's validation. You can call that egotism, but I also think it's self-preservation and self-reliance and a lot of those things. So I'm the same guy, but I do think, I won't say I'm wiser, but I'm definitely calmer.
When shit gets thrown at you, you take it easier.
Oh, shit's been thrown at us all our lives, and I was just explaining what working in films is like. It's like living on a boat with 3 holes, and you're in the middle of the sea all the time.
Right.
So there's no one day where you're like, let me just take in the sights. It's not like that. You're constantly shoveling water out to keep yourself afloat and alive. So that's what the business is. And My boss taught me, all my elders taught me that you cannot be entitled. You cannot expect that just because you did something in the past or just because something happened in the past that you will get it again or that you should get it again
Right.
or that you deserve to get it again. So if you remember the last time we spoke, I'd very clearly explained this thing about standing on a platform waiting for a train. The same thing that I told you in 2017 applies in 2023.
Right.
I'm on a platform waiting for my train and it'll take me to my next platform. And I don't look at other people, I don't compare, I don't contrast because it's a very problematic business we live in and a very problematic time we live in. So let's say and I'll use this slightly again in a sense of pride. Let's say I'm in the top 100 actors in India, okay, living in this current generation. And that would, if somebody told me that, and they did recently, I was really happy to hear that. And I just thought about, wow. So, I came from direction, went into acting and wanted to do this and get better at it and hone my craft and study better and be a better actor. And I've come to this place. And I think of where I came from and what I've achieved and how immensely grateful I am.
Right.
But every day of the last 22 years that I've been here, I've been told to compare myself to the other 99. What are they wearing? What are they doing? What opportunities did they get? How much money difference is there? How much? So I'm like, that's the problem with it. So if you just simplify it and you keep everything to the self, it just makes everything much easier to handle. And so that's the way I'm trying to live my life.
But how do you, with all this noise coming in, how do you let yourself not get screwed up in the head?
So this question applies to human beings today.
Right.
So I was comparing it when we were in school. We would talk about the cliche of the morning newspaper and the filter coffee and the music that was playing in the radio. Today you have 24 hours of people chirping nonsense in your ears all the time without knowing if it's even true.
Right.
And forget if it's true, without knowing if it's not hate-filled or agenda-based. So the common man today is just a mess and he has or she has no other way to be. So if that applies to people who are struggling for survival, then entitled people like ourselves who are not fighting for survival every day won't have too much of a different situation if you ask me. So speaking for myself, I've always spent more time alone than I have with people.
Right.
So there's a big difference between being called an extrovert and being someone who's an extrovert and also a very private person who spends a lot of self time. So let's take COVID for example. We all had specific journeys during those 2.5 years, but we were not dying. A lot of people were. We were not struggling. A lot of people were because we are so blessed. So I spent my 2 years studying. So I sat at home. I built myself a studio. I started studying stuff that I didn't have the time to in the last 10 years. All of it adding up to some maybe future plan to direct, hopefully. Also, my hobbies to indulge myself, whether it's music or poetry or literature or history or political science. All of these things fascinate me.
You studied all this?
I spent a lot of time studying. So
Okay.
all I did was, read and study and practice and find out things about myself. So that's what I've been doing in microcosms my whole life. I've been doing stuff that makes me happy. And you can call that, from a previous generation's understanding, you can call it selfish or self-centered. But I look at it as self-caring, self-preserving and self-love. So I've simplified everything now down to I need to go to sleep happy, I need to wake up happy. Other than these two things, I've realized nothing is in our control. So that's the simple part of it. So, and I'm still known as a Kumbhakarna, Rip Van Winkle level sleeper. After the number of years I've been on the planet and the kind of life I've lived, you tell me to lie down right now, I can sleep for as long as I choose to sleep if I try it right now. You lean me against a wall, I'll fall asleep. So I also compare it to charging a phone.
Right.
How well do you charge a deep cycle battery?
Right.
So that's what I'm doing with myself. So maybe that's also my answer to people constantly ask me, why do you look the way you look? Because I just walked into this room, I didn't look at a mirror. I just sat down in front of my friend and I'm talking to you. So vanity is not my strong suit or my weakening. But at the same time, I feel happy. So I'm comfortable that I'll represent myself correctly. So that's how I'm playing the game.
But the industry has also changed in these 21 years, right? So I mean, there's a lot of, how does that like figure into your thing? Because I mean, your journey is different, but your journey is also dependent on a constantly changing industry. How has that changed?
we've all gone through our trials and tribulations about wanting to change where we are. So, with the axiom that applies most to us, be the change you want to see. That's why a lot of us, as we get older and hopefully wiser, tend to go within more than without.
Inward, yeah.
So, the last 10 years for me has been a deeply spiritual journey into myself. And I can simplify it to you that, you read about from early man to the frontier crossers to the technological technocrats. They always saw how far from the human side, how further can we go? They'll go further, more distance, faster, beyond and horizon and beyond. Then there's space. And then one man went and started drilling in the ground and hit oil, right? So I think that's how I started thinking about it, and I started getting more comfortable with myself. Yes, in the middle, because of our exposure, because of our education, because of our individual journeys, your relationship with truth is very important. Where if you know the truth, what do you do with it? First of all, truth is not just a binary; it's very broad.
Yeah.
Especially in today's world, everything is context and relative. So if you have the truth, what do you do with it? At different parts of my life, I've done different things with that truth. Sometimes I did what I thought was the righteous thing to do. Sometimes I did what was the sacrificial thing to do. Sometimes I did what was the smart thing to do. But after a point, I realized knowing the truth is not enough, because then you'll just be a petulant kid who's saying, Miss, I have something to say. I didn't want to become that person. And so again, it was about shutting out the outside world, because the outside world is not the way it is because of you. And the responsibility of changing it does not lie with you. As in, yes, the interest to modify it comes from us, but I'm not responsible for the ecosystem I'm in.
Right.
I can want to be better. So I'll improve myself, and the people around me will improve, hopefully, with that. And we can do it in small bunches as opposed to these sweeping statesman like ambitions. So I never had that. I would love to be an opinion leader, but I don't want to be at an apex pyramid point where I'm now spreading wisdom and all of that stuff. So I've spent more time inward looking and trying to be a person that I am more comfortable being, because you can't change your fundamentals.
Right.
I did try. When somebody told you that this is a dangerous path to be, whether it's as an actor who doesn't want, so somebody said, what are your rules? I said, I don't know. People tend to get very upset when I say this, but I don't like people clapping when they see me. I don't get it, because we didn't spend half of our life getting that. Adulation is not something that was given to us for life. But once you become an actor, your alter egos tend to go into people's hearts and they form separate relationships with them. And then the ecosystem is all about taking one person and putting them on top of the loft and seeing them and clapping, talking about them all the time, giving them patta. All that stuff just gives me anxiety. So I told somebody, I don't want people to clap when they see me. They said, you're never going to make it as an actor. I said, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
I'm not playing myself. I'm not doing a docudrama. I'm not doing a documentary. I'm not a reality show contestant. I'm playing a character created by a writer, executed by a director. So if that character is supposed to get applause, I hope I do the beats of the scene right, so that I meet the applause that the director wants.
Right.
But if they clap the moment they see me, then they're not giving the writer a chance to introduce someone to them. So that's the fundamental difference between wanting to be an actor and wanting to be a star, according to me.
Right.
And I've always said this. So when I finished my MBA, everybody said, you're definitely going to, take a job on campus. I didn't take a job on campus. I said, I don't want to be that. I want to be somebody who does something different every day. So I was an AD. Then I became an actor. Even though I'd done theatre, I swore I wouldn't act. Then when Shankar sir called and I was told to do, I did it. And that sent me on a whole new thing. Then I said, I want to be a better actor. Let's work out on this.
Right.
And try to do different things, because if I'm going to know before I go on a set what I'm going to do, and if I'm going to know when I'm doing a film what's going to happen in the theatre, I could have been a working MBA selling soap. So, you go looking for what you want.
Right.
And I think the life that you have today sitting in front of me, and I have today sitting in front of you, are lives we've designed for ourselves.
Yeah.
You wanted to do this, and you're doing what makes you happy. Same for me.
Now, when you get this thing about you want to do a particular thing, but the ecosystem doesn't allow you to do it. Let's say you want to make a particular type of movie, but the audience is. I mean, the producer might say, no, the audience is not ready for it, or whatever it is. How have you handled that in your in your career?
Each individual has to make that relationship with, this is what I want to do. If I'm being allowed to do it, how can I do it best? If I'm not being allowed to do it, what is the best way around this situation? So for me, this question happened in maybe 2010, because I had been in the business for around 10 years at the time, including my direction stint. I kept asking myself, are you going to be doing romantic films for the rest of your life and be constantly spoken to about how young you look and how cute you are and how difficult it is for a girl to say no to you on screen and how effectively you communicate the pain of a boy growing up next door? I said, that's not my job. I don't want to do that. It was a very lucrative option. I could have done it for the rest of my life. And I didn't want to do that. So I moved cities, I changed plans, did things so that I can do a 2.0 before that word was a thing. So that's when the rejig happened. And since then, just as an actor, since I started the 8 years I spent in Telugu cinema, I'm very proud of that stint. They gave me a lot of stardom and love and a lot of heartbreak in other ways. It's a different conversation for a different time. Then when I spent the next 8 years in Tamil and only focused on Tamil, that also was the start of my stint as a producer.
Right.
So Kadal Sodappudepudi, Jiljang Jak, Aval, Inmai in Navarasa, and now Arun Kumar's Chitta. That's my production slate. Now, that is not a normal, everyday go-to production slate.
yeah.
Those are all films that took a lot of belief. Not everybody wanted to make them. I've been called this ahead of my time euphemism I get all the time. I've kind of got used to all of that. So when I got scared that I'm not going to be able to do what I want to do, I started producing films. So every film we do is a completely different genre from the other. And the other thing is, success is two-pronged. One is when you think you have succeeded. One is when the ecosystem thinks you have succeeded.
Right.
Correct? So when the ecosystem thinks you have succeeded, they will work a little harder to give you what your talent deserves. And your audience will be a little more powerful in demanding that they go and give this work to their actor. So because I kept moving around all the time, I'm never one house's boy.
Right.
So I've always put my feet in multiple boats, and people said your career is going to be finished. You should be in one place. You should have your own base. So I said, I don't know how to do that. So if you can take present today where I am, like I said, I didn't know I'm going to have 6 films in 18 months. That was not my plan at all. I just kept soldiering, putting my head down, not getting flustered, and making myself happy.
Right.
So the ecosystem will change. That's a never-ending process. If I've done 20 years now, in 20 years later when you speak to me, it will obviously be a completely different conversation, because otherwise you have not done justice to your job and I have not done justice to mine. And we've been people who've searched what we want.
Right. Now, you had a very reluctant journey towards being an actor, in the sense that you first the writer Sujata's wife had to recommend you, and then you went to Maniratnam, and then he said no, do this. And why that reluctance? I mean, why not just say, I'm going to do this, I'm just going to give it a shot, and then I'm going to go back to being an AD? Why not just do that?
See, Barry, how this is you put a request for a cab on an app, okay? And you put the location and they give you an OTP. Now you go and put that OTP and that guy starts driving you to that destination, correct?
Right.
Now on the way, there are other cars with extremely lucrative options for you to get down from this car and get into that and go. You won't do it. So I was very clear that I have come here to be a writer director. And I had sworn, and you see how I'm talking. I told you I haven't changed. I swore when I was between the ages of 16 and 20 that I will not become an actor. And I have friends, I hate calling them that. They're still in touch with me, my childhood friends, my friends from B school. They said the world can turn, you will become an actor. So I was like, shut up. No, I lost those bets. So that's how much I was clear I won't become an actor. Because also I was working with the country's greatest filmmaker. So I could see my first film forming as a director when I was 22 years old. The age I am, and I still don't see that first film forming, because I've spent the last 20 years on the detour that Shankar sir gave me and Sujata ma'am and Sujata sir gave me. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answers the question, but the intent to direct was very, very strong. But then the intent to be a good actor was also very strong.
Right.
And the clarity that I don't think I can do both of these together. You know me as a person, I've got 10,000 thought streams running all the time. I'm never short of beans, right? So for me to direct a film, I personally think I'll need to take about 24 months off and just dive in, because it's so many crafts to be on top of, and nobody knows about what a director takes more than an AD of 22 years. Okay, because I'm always learning on a film set. So for me, that's the next step. But right now, especially with this 6 film purple patch that we've discussed, I would love to tell you I know where my direction career is going to start, but to be honest, I have no clue.
But in all the downtime that you've had on the sets, there's never been a spark that says, okay, I have this one line, or I have this idea that I think I should direct, or whatever it is. It's
So we all come from a basic writing private background. So I've been writing my whole life. And today writing is manifested into so many different forms. Earlier, one person doing the pages was writing. Then it became 6 people discussing and writing on pads, that became writing. Then now you send voice notes and somebody transcribes it, and then it becomes copy, and that is writing. So that part is still always on. So the one thing you're bang on about is the most challenging part about being an actor is the waiting. And I hate sitting in caravans. And the thing is, like I said, I've always been good at pottering and keeping myself busy. So if you come to my van, my vanity, correct word, vanity van, if you come there, you'll see an entire extracurricular project that will keep me occupied. So I'm like a kid that constantly needs to be given something to do. So, so I've kept that part of my brain alive. So my brain, while on a film set, even now my directors tell me it's like having a very, very on point AD on set, because I'm closest to the DOP and the camera. I learned everything from the camera. So I know what's going on a film set all the time. So the thought I'm putting in is still about what's going on this film. The search for this product, for this character. So me writing can happen independently, and it still happens, but it's not writing with a goal to direct. So similarly, I've been making music for maybe 13 years ago. I started, and I've never released anything. And I have friends in the business, I have many musician friends. I'm very lucky that way, who are like, can we please put out something? I said, no, I'm making it for myself.
what is this music?
It's my music.
As in, what is there?
Well, it's my music. That's the genre. It's
Okay.
music I make. So
Right.
if you ask them, they'll say, let's put it out. I said, I don't want to put it out.
Right.
The reasons are, if I put out something, the binary is either it'll take off or it won't take off. Now, let's say it takes off. Then somebody will come to my house and say, I'll give you this, you give me a song. That's not what I want to do with music. I'm not an on-demand music producer. I'm not a jukebox. I make music, just you asked, right? What keeps you sane is this. So when we were producing a film, it's 25 more responsibilities, and the same person who sleeps at will sometimes will struggle for an hour to sleep. At that time, I'll have a music studio in my room, wherever I'm shooting. So I'll just sit and make music. I'll make something, I'll listen to it, and I'll fall asleep.
So when you say you have a piano kind of thing?
Yes, I have a portable studio. I mean, today the great part is what Rahman sir did with Roja and showed everybody what the marriage between analog and digital was. Today, you don't have any excuse not to create. So you can do an entire film score on an iPad and a sound card and a digital workstation. You're good. So you can do that. And I do it so that I feed myself, because I've always told myself never to stop being 2 things. One is a student, and second is an audience. I love being a consumer. So I make something that does whatever that it needs to do that day. It's like you choose to watch certain films because they make you feel a certain way. My music will reflect what my day was like. And the end point is me listening to that music and getting what I wanted to get from it.
Okay.
So it could be anything from calming to titillating to rousing or whatever. And I'll hear it and I'll sleep. So I have terabytes of information that I've created purely for this one audience member called me. So that's part of me keeping me sane.
Now I'm very curious to hear what this music is.
Oh well, see that's the thing, Barry. You have to spend more time with me off camera.
Yeah.
Then you can do all
but
those
I'm
things.
also thinking that maybe you don't want to share it with other
No,
people.
you can whenever. See, again, all of the musicians you've spoken to at some point, they know me very well.
Right.
So, so Santhosh Narayan is a dear friend. And AR sir has been like a mentor for me for a long, he's seen me since I was an AD. So he knows where we're coming at things from. So I mean, whoever asks, I always tell them. And I've never said no to someone when they ask to listen to my music. So I'll always play it for you. Come
Okay.
on.
Has there been anything that you would call a particular milestone in your journey?
This was an interesting word choice. I'm so glad you said milestone and not turning point, because there's a very big inference from those two words, right? So somebody came in after I repeatedly said I don't believe in that word. I was still quoted as saying this is my turning point by a journalist yesterday. I told her specifically, she said, is this film that you're doing next going to be a turning point? I said, I'm not looking to turn. I'm on the road I wanted to be on, and I'm in control of both the steering wheel and the gas and the accelerator. So I just, maybe my speeds might increase, but it's the same road. Turning point implies I'm going to turn. I don't want to turn. So milestone is a fantastic, firstly, thank you for that word. The first milestone for me will always be getting entry into this business.
Right.
So Mani sir employing me, in fact, is the only milestone that's also a turning point.
Right.
Because until then I said, I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to go somewhere, I'm going to go somewhere. Then I went there because of him. And everything else happened as a result. So that's the most important turning point / milestone. Since then, I think because I'm trying to design and customize my own life and my own destiny, and I come from a belief that we have the power to do that. Every time I've been lucky enough to work with people that I've learned from,
Right.
I see as a very significant milestone. So all the stalwarts I've worked with, and I mean, I have the greatest autobiography never written, because I've met and interacted and spent quality time with so many incredible people.
Like
I'm,
now
I'm a,
Kamal Haasan.
yeah, I mean, the OG. And so it's a great life and I'm very grateful for it. But in terms of future milestones I'm looking forward to, I won't lie, you do want to be given what you think you deserve without sounding entitled. Because one is, I did it, what do you want, everything, when do you want it now? I'm not doing that. Did something, whatever. Then you look back and somebody says the recognition, the respect, somebody else got it. I said, let's not talk about that. That's counterproductive. Why did we not get it? So I'm hoping that this next set of films makes it a little easier and more publicly gratifying for me to be me. I want to be, the way I celebrate myself for being myself, I'd like a little more celebration in, going forward. And I think this set of films will do that for sure, because production has been an incredible journey for me. And I remember I read Burt Lancaster's autobiography when I was maybe 30 years old. And he said he started producing films when he got tired of being an actor, maybe of waiting, like you said. So that was an important book to read, because that led to me becoming a producer. And Chitta was one of the most gratifying experiences of my entire life, leave alone my career. So production.
It's complete now.
Yeah, we're in the last stages of it. So for me, starting with Takkar, with every next film, the amount of excitement I feel about my moves, I'd also like for history and posterity to record the same. There'll never be an equal match all the time, but if they could keep up with each other, it would be great.
Right. Do you ever think, what if I had stuck to my guns and not taken up boys and insisted that I would only be a director?
No, I didn't do that.
I know you said you don't think
No,
back,
even
you always-
at the time, because
Yeah.
the past was not always the past. At some point, it was present
Yeah,
continuous.
yeah.
So when it was happening, I did promise myself that I will achieve what I need to as an actor, because I did train as an actor when I was doing theatre before, and I have been exposed to an appreciation of good acting and good cinema. So that was what propelled me to want to be a better actor. Sometimes people might think that he talks like he's a better actor than his work shows, but that's a perspective difference. I can only think the way I've been, living my life to think. But having said that, if I had not become an actor, my confidence level since I was a young boy would tell me that if I had become a director the way I had planned, that 20 years later, I would still be sitting with a reputed interviewer and talking about my craft. That much confidence as a director. So, but then if you ask me, does it apply to other streams of work? Yes. So I never gave myself, that's why success and failure are very specific words. I've never thought about it in those terms. I've never not backed myself.
Right.
Can I put it that way? So I've always said whatever I do, my work ethic will make sure I give it a certain amount of integrity and effort. And I don't believe in luck and destiny. I think you decide your path forward. So even if I had become a director, I think Baradwaj Rangan would have been interviewing me and saying, what if you had become an actor?
Right.
And then the hypothesis of what if would have still been exciting to us.
What do you say, like, So you say you don't believe in luck and destiny at all. Like yes, we all try. There's billions of people who come to the various industries, film industries across India, trying to make it as any one of the streams. So you think that the people that make it, there's no luck or destiny involved?
Specifically, those words, definitely not.
Okay.
I think timing is important. Right place, right time is an important thing. But if I can verbalize this correctly, that's why I'm trying to make sure I don't misrepresent myself. Success and failure are not permanent.
Right.
Your whole life is not decided by one moment, correct? No matter how grave or how stark or whatever that moment is. If I give you what you think of, what I think is your success, and I hand it to you on a plate, whether you receive it or not decides how long you will ride this thing that I gave you.
Right.
Correct? Now, similarly, if I gave you something that you value as success, your ability to embrace it and run with it decides where you go next. What I'm trying to say is, what you think of as lucky is actually you allowing yourself to go somewhere. The individual human is the only person controlling where they will go next.
Right.
And we're not talking about hand of God, obviously. If insurance gets that, so do we. So we're not talking about accidents and all that stuff.
Right.
We're talking about just, like, if you ask me, is there luck and destiny is there luck involved in what I did? There's no luck involved in what I did.
No, I don't mean to trivialize what.
No,
the
not even
choices-
trivialize.
Yeah.
It's about putting the power in something that's not you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are things that I have sworn and said I don't want. So even when it was offered to me, somebody said, you take this, you'll be successful. I said, no, I don't see that as success. So I don't want it. Now, that is not luck. That is me saying I don't want something. Similarly, if somebody gave me something, I want to go there. So I embrace it and I run harder with that.
Right.
That's not luck. That is me wanting to take what the universe gave me.
Right.
Now, you can ask, what the universe is giving you, is that luck? That is just a happenstance. It happens.
Yeah.
From there, the individual decides everything. Because otherwise, today's world, I think, Barry, that people think only rich people and powerful people are successful, which is the most idiotic thing I've ever heard in my life. Because I already told you, waking up happy and going to sleep happy is the greatest success in the world. And being able to sleep well is a boon. Now, people with infinitesimal, like crazy amounts of money can't say that they have that. So, for people to say that you need luck to get ahead is confusing, because you should know what you want.
Right.
If that happens, you can say, I'm a lucky person. Why are you lucky? Because you know what you want. Then you are capable of being lucky. If you don't know what you want, no matter what is thrown at you, you will have bad luck.
So you're saying that there are so many people that want to be an AD to Mani Ratnam.
Yeah.
You got to be that because you kind of willed yourself to that place.
One is I stalked him. That's a different thing. Okay. You stalk somebody for a job and you get a job. Now, I survived that job and, he let me work with him. That's not luck.
Okay, right.
He could have thrown me out on the first day. So if I'm lucky, no matter what I did, I'll be here.
Right.
That's luck. Where you are removed from the equation and something else is propelling you somewhere. That is luck.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. So you can say, I found a pot of gold, and you think that's luck. What happens because of that pot of gold should also be counted in that luck, no?
Right.
What if you get killed because you got that pot of gold? Are you a lucky person or unlucky person? So if you believe in luck, you have to believe one moment I'm lucky, one moment I'm unlucky. That's not how the world works.
I'm just thinking that you're going to have fascinating conversations with Kamal Haasan.
I always have fascinating conversations with Kamal Haasan, sir, because I don't even need to speak. I just sit and listen to him.
Right.
Because he's a whole other interview subject. You know that. But a lot of us, look at him as the reason we do what we do.
Yeah,
and I've told you this before
He's
as
very
well.
inspiring, yeah.
Because Kamal sir did what he did, I can even attempt to do what I do. This is not anybody putting themselves in the same breath as Kamal sir.
Yeah.
Because he did what, and now Kamal sir's 100th film is a film he produced himself called Raja Parvai. How many people will produce a film about a blind violinist as their 100th film?
Yeah.
It's not easy doing those things. In retrospect, you realize what a visionary, what a path-breaking genius he is. Because he never took the easy way out.
Yeah.
So whenever I feel like I'm compromising myself, I've never done a film for money. I have never done a film because somebody forced me to. This I said in the beginning of my career to myself, you will not do that. Because we spoke big words, Baddy, we won't be like this, we won't be like that. I've never done it. Why I'm doing a film, I need to know clearly. and I'll stand by it. I'll stand by all my films. Not that, oh, I was kidnapped and made to do a film. No. So Kamal sir inspires us every day, and when we speak, what I love most about him is that at his age, with his filmography, with his legend, he still talks like a normal human being, which is incredible. And most recently, he called me over and we saw a film together. And I'm a gushing film fan. I'm always a film fan. And I was watching the film and he's leaning over and whispering trivia to me. And I was like, what is going on in my life? And as I was leaving the room as shameless fanboy, I said, so I really love two things. He said, what? I said, I love watching films. He said, and? I said, I love you. And he said, so? I said, but this is the best. Watching films with you
Yeah, that's the
is
best.
so much fun.
What is the film?
We saw Spartacus together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he's always inspiring. He tells us as an actor, as a producer, as a writer, oh my God.
Yeah.
He's a walking, talking education, and I try to learn as much from him as I can. It's a lot. He knows so much, and I've already been with somebody who knows a lot, which is Mani sir. And so yeah, like you, like me, all of us are like, they're coming back together. It's a huge thing for us, right?
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm very, very lucky to have been around incredible people my whole life.
Right, but you're given what you know and who you are, and I just think that there is this writer director waiting to emerge, and somehow I feel that that phase of your life is getting delayed. I mean, I'm not saying you should not act or whatever, but I'm just saying that because I get the feeling that whatever you do is going to be something really interesting.
See, I don't mean to trivialize myself in front of you, but like I've already told you, the first film I make will be primarily made for me. So I'm the audience I have to satisfy.
But that's the best way to make a
Exactly.
film. Yeah.
So I've kept my own audience member, that's me, alive, and I've also tried to cultivate my filmmaker in that. But having said that, I'll direct my first film when there'll be something from inside that makes it impossible for me to do anything.
And that's never
else.
been like that
Uh,
force that says
The
you
last
need
time
to-
I felt it was 20 years ago, but since then I haven't felt it.
Oh, wow.
Because I was also so focused on wanting to learn more as an actor and then become a producer and singing and writing and all of those things. So I think it's all a means to an end. So everything is happening for that eventuality to happen. But as far as what kind of film I'll make, what will be the result of that film, I think that's, even I've never thought about it. But yes, I do believe that every year I stay alive, I have more of a chance of being a better director.
Right.
Because I've still never stopped voyeuristically observing the world, constantly feeding my brain. So, I hope that all of that will come together to make me a good filmmaker. And also, I've learned from the right people about what all goes into becoming a director. It's not just about, start camera and action and cut. There's so much that happens, and there's so much people skills, and there's so much logistical handling, and there's so much patience, and you can't afford to let things bother you.
Right.
And so I've always been a very reacting person. So my most deep-seated effort has been to be less of a reacting person. So I constantly try to slow myself down because everything's happening at very high speeds in my head. So from a direction standpoint, I think I'm still building towards that. But again, like I said, it will have to be a either or. I cannot do this while I do that. And it will happen, don't get me wrong. And as far as it maybe getting delayed, I think that's a questionable observation, only because I don't think whether something's on time, before time, or delayed is even in our hands. So,
right. No, but you just mentioned you had your
Correct.
purple patch, and so that means that at least you're not going to be able
for
to
the
pick up
near
others.
future,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not going to
yeah,
happen.
yeah.
But I can promise you that in 5 years' time, when I speak to you, I will still look the same, I will still sound the same, and I will hopefully have learned a little bit more that will put me in a better position to be a director.
Right. Which has been the toughest film for you, either in terms of getting into character or language or anything else? Because as an actor, there are some roles. In fact, I remember once that you and I had a bit of a spat on WhatsApp because
I know it verbatim. I know that conversation. If you want it, I'll repeat it to you. But
no,
go
because
ahead.
I actually I thought I was giving you a compliment by saying that.
No, even now you thought you were giving me a compliment. Your direction career is getting delayed, but it also means that every statement has two sides.
Right,
Whether
but
you intend it or not, that's the reality
right,
of
no,
it.
but that's
Yeah.
perception. Silpa Manjal Pache, and I really liked you in that. And I was like, it was like for me like seeing Madhavan and Aidarithu, for instance. It's like it's a zone that you typically do not expect that person to be A, cast in, and B, like give the performance or whatever it is. But you kind of thought it was me telling you that, oh, you're just this posh guy and you can't do that. So I'm like, I was just kind of
No, that I'll one day when I interview you, I'll tell you the stuff that's been written by Baradwaj Rangan about Siddharth, and maybe you'll be older and wiser, and you'll come at it with a different perspective. But as far as my next 6 films is concerned, uh, I can do a collar up and show you just. In fact, even my last 6 films, you just take pictures of me from my last 6 films, and you look at them as different alter egos. I think it's a lot of effort and a lot of conviction that goes into filmmaking. My next film, next like 6 films, almost becomes like a show-off showreel for me, because there's no connection between the kalam, as we call it in Tamil, the genres, or the staging, or the aesthetics, the look, or the body language, or the performance. So there's a lot of craft that goes into it, but again, you are only a product of the work that you are offered.
yeah.
Correct, and the work that you manage to put together. So every film is a different struggle. But specifically, the difficult part about performance is that you ask me, every single film, especially for an arrogant person like myself who does only what he wants to do, I go in expecting to learn something from the product. I know there will be challenges, and then I realistically see how well I fared with those challenges. So let's take this immediate future of films. So Takkar as a film was very, very difficult for me because there's so much action in the film. And this director, Karthik, is nuts, where he's Shankar's assistant, and they're very particular what they want when they show their hero on screen. So I hate going to the gym. So I know that sounds trivial, but I hate going to the gym. So that's a really difficult part of a performance.
And I hate that you look like that not going to the gym.
Yes,
That's
I'm not a gym person. Okay, this is just genetics and lots of let's just belief.
Right.
Putting the right signals into the universe. But yeah, coming back to this, I hate going to exercise. Exercise is one of the things that upsets me the most. So for Tucker, I had to change my physique. So there was a specific physique he wanted, so I had to put on muscle, and it's a lot of work. Second was the actual action sequences. I'm not genetically or habitually qualified to do the amount of action I'm doing in these films. Let me put it that way. So leaving for work from home, coming back home, it was all amma, all ice pack and this resistance band and that physio and this it's just the worst. There's no such side effects to doing love stories. But so with action films, that was a difficult part of it. But to be really honest with you, Baddy, the thing that bothers me most and what makes performances difficult sometimes is things that you think you have controlled and done correctly, but there's a visor that people on the other side who are watching have already worn. Either the media has put it on them, or some reviewers' words have influenced them, or some other filmmakers' comments have influenced them. Trying to remove that is really difficult sometimes. So I will again tell you what do I look at as acting? My idea of good acting, which I want to subscribe to. I'm not doing gospel here. What I want to do is I want to blend into the furniture of a film. What was written for me, what is written for the film, I want to fit. So when that happens, I feel like I've aced it.
Right.
So for me, whether it's Takkar, where I'm playing a boy from a village who wants to be rich. So the guy who was born to play posh roles cannot even attempt that film.
Yeah.
So I'd like to believe I'm, hoping to conquer my naysayers and have them say that Siddharth is the most versatile actor of his generation. I would like to get that comment. Someday in the future, it'll happen, hopefully.
But you have got your share
No,
of
no, no. I'm
compliments.
still hoping
Yeah.
for it from. You always wait for it from the people that you want to hear it from.
Right.
So you'll hear it from them. The fans have always said you're the greatest. That's not what it is.
Right.
So for me to fit into the milieu of Takkar, for me to be the non-posh part of the film, you can say, why is it so important? I'm like, because if somebody tells me I can't do it, My first question is, who are you to tell me that? And second is to ask myself, are they right? And then pick my line of action. So for me to be the almost crude, almost unpolished village guy who just wants to make it in life and being a loser at that. And for him to meet this epitome of poshness living in a bungalow on ECR girl excites me that I'm able to blend into that furniture.
Right, right.
Then there's Chitta, and then there's even Indian too for that matter, or Karthik G. Krish's next film, or Test. All of these films are nowhere close to what Siddharth as a human being is, his background, his journey, his story. Because there's nothing more boring for me than to play myself on screen. I did not come here to work in fluff pieces that make me look like the best person in the world. I did not come here for everybody to just love me as long as I'm on screen. None of those things excite me. So I just want to be known as a convincing actor. And when I make films as a director, as a producer, I'd like to be known as somebody who made films that he wanted to make, that he wanted to see. Not that somebody came and said, put 10 in this, it'll become 12 and then they lose 25. Most of cinema is in debt. It's a really tough business to be doing well. So as a producer, we are cash positive. We've always been cash positive. As an actor, I don't know what to do with the money I made 15 years ago. So I'm always grateful for the fact that, I'm one of the most legitimate taxpayers in this country. And I have all my money either put back into cinema or in my bank. I don't own any assets. I don't have a lifestyle of splurging. I've never been that guy. So I wear the same clothes I used to wear before. I still, eat the same food I used to eat before. So wealth is not a driving force. So it just helps to figure out who you are clearly and live according to that.
Right. After this series of 6 films or something like that, I know that's going to take a long time to finish, but
No, I've signed my next 3 after that.
oh, you have?
Yeah, yeah.
This one is 9 now?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you
So that's the thing, right? Because once COVID happened, from when I spoke to you last, we had started making action plans from 2014. I moved cities in 2014. So I rejigged everything and said, this is the action plan for the next 10 years. In that 10 years, I did a lot of the stuff I wanted to do. Enakulorvan, Kavya Talavan, Jil Jangjak, Aval, all of the films that I wanted to do, and I enjoyed doing them tremendously. And then we had COVID. And once COVID happens, we had to ask ourselves, are we going to abandon all the things we planned from 2014 and start something new? Or are we going to start off where we left off? So it was a bit of both. So that's why I have these 6 films coming together. And thank God I look the way I look, because you don't know if I shot a film today, yesterday, or day before yesterday. Even though today's audience is most interested in, 99% things they have no reason to be even informed about. Has the KDM reached this print for this theatre? When was the last schedule of this film? What's the budget of this song? Who cares? Go watch the film if
but
you
that's
like
what people care about now.
No, that's what we think they care about, because there's
But
a
there are
bunch
so
of
many
them
shows.
vociferously
Yeah,
speaking
yeah,
about it
yeah.
on the internet.
There are YouTube shows that actually talk about day-to-day activities on sets, and so and so is angry with so and so, or so and so had a spat. I don't know what it is, but like, who cares?
No, that is Kisse Kisse has been part of the world way before our time.
Right. But now that's
Today,
become the
what is
only
really
thing.
sad for people like us, I've spent the last 10 days promoting my film in multiple cities. The funny thing is, I'll still be asked my next interview, oh, do you promote your films? I'm like, either you're an idiot or I don't know what to do with you. So I'm just been doing this as a job. We had 10 newspapers and two channels to speak to before. Now we have 6 newspapers and 700 internet journalists to talk to. And we have questions like just the most bizarre questions. And I'm also recently having a fight with this thumbnail culture. It's so offensive. They're so desperate that their visual should be seen over other people's visual that they just make up nonsense and put it on a headline and put an ugly thumbnail as clickbait. It's the levels of dishonesty is just disturbing. So cinema has had to check itself because of OTT, because they came and told you what best practices are. I really hope journalism has an OTT wave, yeah. Then maybe they'll sort out their shit and start behaving properly.
But what if I told you that that's what people look for?
People will look for, dude, the traffic on Pornhub has not gone down in the last 20 years. We are not working to feed that audience, no? So then people want, if we start giving what they want, then you'll only give them that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's nice that we're talking about Pornhub in a bedroom of a...
Yeah, for all everybody, Baradwaj Rangan I've met many times in many years. This is the first time I had to open a suite bedroom in a hotel to find him waiting for me, perfectly lit with makeup. It's very, very
There's
charming.
no makeup.
But his skin is natural like it
Oh,
always
good
is.
Lord.
Ah,
But
this is for his fans. It's an all natural look.
oh God. So, but thanks to that. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and
You too.
really good luck with your slate of films, because it looks like you're
No, this particular film, Barry, for me is super exciting because you don't start off, I mean, many people do, but I have not started off a film saying, I'm going to do a commercial hit film. You know, this film started with the thing that we are doing a very broad spectrum commercial template film with cute little tricks here and there to keep the audience guessing.
right.
So for me, I mean, I'd love for you and I to talk on Saturday morning. I think I've made a hit film, and a hit film that will run in the cinemas.
Right.
Because I've always said during COVID, I never sold any of my films. I could have easily gone to OTT with 3 of these films. I refused. It's very lucrative time to make money. But I said, no, I'm here because of cinemas. And as long as I'm around, I'll keep, giving back to the cinema. So this film is a popcorn, high octane, claps and whistles and all the, the privileges of being in a cinema kind of a film. And they're saying it's a dry spell for Tamil cinema right now. This film's also coming out in Telugu. I'm very confident in both places theatrically. This film will be a very successful film. So you watch it. I mean, your review notwithstanding, I just hope that the theatre ambience and the fun of watching this film comes through the way I'm expecting it to.
Right. And the fact that you're, like I said, you've been around for so long, and you are where you are, and like you said, the fact that you've gotten what you've gotten is truly something that not many people get.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not a single day that goes by
Yeah.
when I don't think of myself as deeply blessed. Again, I'm not lucky.
Lucky. Yeah, you're not lucky. I was not
I'm
using that
deeply
word.
blessed
Yeah.
because blessings you count in with context, and you look at everything and you say, wow, dude, that was, things could have easily gone in a different way.
Right.
And you could have had hardships. And then people say, how do you look the way you look? And I'm like, my makeup artist has been taking care of me for 19 years. I compare myself to a fridge in an apple in a fridge,
That sounds like a
Fridge-kulla apple
strawberry
pole
pregnant.
pirandava
Yeah,
niye.
yeah,
It's like
that's
that
yeah,
because
yeah.
they don't let you stand in the sun, and they make sure you use the best products, and you're fed good food and given so much affection. So I think a lot of that goes into the making of your life. So if nothing else, I'm always very grateful. And I don't live in the past. I certainly don't live in the future. I'm all about the spectacular now. And I don't like to say I'm in the happiest place of my life, because happiest, like enlightenment or anything, is a continuous process. You have to want to be happy and take it when you get it. So I'm really, really in a happy and grateful place.
Nice to hear that, and thanks so much.
Done. Thanks, man.
Holidays nale நம்ம GT Holidays தான் South India's #1 travel brand. தலைசிறந்த திருமண நகைகளின் பிரத்யேக அணிவகுப்பு ஸ்ரீகுமரன் தங்க மாளிகை. JNN Institution Red Hills Chennai. Admissions open at JNN Institute of Engineering Autonomous and JNN Arts and Science Women's College.